Heidi's on. You folks ready, or do we need a second? Ready? Okay. Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting of the Moorhead Public Service Commission to order. It's Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. It's about 4:30, and I need to tell you that Commissioner Heidi Durand will be participating in this meeting virtually from her address at 3625 22nd Avenue South, Moorhead, Minnesota 56560, which location is open and accessible to the public during the meeting. The Moorhead Public Service Commission welcomes and encourages customer input on issues listed on the agenda or of general water, electric, utility interest, time and commission permitting. Speakers are limited to 3-minute presentations. Customers wishing to address the commission regarding a specific agenda item will be afforded an opportunity during the discussion of that item. Customers wishing to speak on matters not listed on the agenda will be given the opportunity to do so under the heading Customers to be Heard and/or Recognitions. Each person requesting the opportunity to speak is asked to fill out a request to speak form located in the table at the back of the room, presented to the administrative assistant in attendance at the meeting. Any follow-up or feedback will be done by email on anything that cannot be resolved this evening. First order of business, item number 2, election of chairperson. This is my last meeting, and we need to replace me. I'm irreplaceable, but yes. So I will make a nomination that Joel Paulson, who's currently the vice chairperson, to become chairperson for the next year. At that point, next meeting, the rest of the officers will be chosen, or elected, I should say. So any other nominations? Okay. Then I move that we take a vote on Joel Paulson as the chairperson going forth. This will take place at the first February meeting. The transition will take place. So, any further discussion? Seeing none. Borgen? Baker?
Aye.
Paulson? Aye. Thompson? Aye. Ness?
Aye.
Durand?
Yes.
Great. I thought okay, I wasn't seconded? Okay. I'm sorry. I'm so anxious to get this over with. Okay, it was moved, it was seconded. We'll go ahead and revote. Borgen?
Yes.
Baker?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Thompson? Yes. Ness? Duran?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are removing item 14 from the agenda, so I entertain a motion removing that item.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Paulson, seconded by Baker to approve the agenda minus item 14. Discussion? Seeing none. Borgen?
Yes.
Baker?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Ness? Duran?
Yes.
Thompson, yes. Okay. I now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Duran, seconded by Baker, to approve the consent agenda. Discussion? Seeing none. Morgan?
Yes.
Baker?
Aye.
Paulson?
Aye.
Ness?
Aye.
Duran?
Yes.
Thompson? Aye. Okay, items to be heard. Customers to be heard on a non-agenda item and our recognitions. Let's do the recognitions first, Mr. Schmidt.
The only recognition I have tonight is actually for you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to thank you for your roughly 9 years of service and being the chairperson for roughly the last 5 years as well, too. So, and it's been great working with you over the last 5 years as the interim general manager and general manager, and appreciated the guidance and the conversations we had, you know, either pre-meeting or monthly or whenever we met in person or on the phone. So, again, I want to thank you again for your service.
Thank you. I'll be back. Not in this capacity, but I'll I'll check in and see how you guys are doing. All right, I understand we have a customer to be heard. You can step to the podium, sir. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Paul Sarian. I'm from Moorhead. I've lived in this city for 45 years, I think, and I've lived at Signature Condos in South Moorhead for the past 17 years. I'm here to talk about a few of the fees that I've noticed. I became treasurer of Signature Condos a little over a year ago in November 2023, and I'm really setting myself up. I gotta say this to begin with. I had a little speech prepared, and that's something else. But I had all these handouts for you guys. I forgot my speech, so this is good. I'm going to be totally winging it tonight, so you're going to see how much I actually know my stuff. I've only got 15 minutes. Maybe it'll be a lot shorter because
Okay,
I
so
don't have the speech right now.
Let's
but
note the time so that we know where we are.
4:35?
4:35. Okay, and did you state your address?
My address I have? Okay, it's 2926 12th Avenue South, Moorhead, Minnesota.
Okay, great, thank you so much.
Okay?
The floor is yours.
All right, thank you. First of all, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you folks about this question I have about the utility bills I've seen that have crossed over my desk and I've paid as the treasurer in the last year. In December, I noticed that, first of all, I'll say, we have, if you look at the page here, the picture on the front of the handout I gave you, that's a picture of our condominium association. We have 4 buildings. They're 4plexes, so we have 4 condominiums in each building, and that is our setup. And the reason I'm stressing that is because when I look at our bill, for example, you can look back, look back to page 7 if you would. See if that's one. No, I'm gonna make it page 9. Are y'all with me? On page 9, that shows our house account bill for the 4plex that I live in. All 4plexes are billed out pretty much the same. But what I noticed on this bill when I became treasurer, I was looking at the itemized charges. And first of all, I saw this fire hydrant facility charge. And I got to tell you, when I lived in my own home, I never paid attention to this stuff. You know, you looked at your invoice and you saw on my bill for Moorhead Public Service, I would pay attention maybe to the electrical bill. You know, that's about it. I didn't pay attention to the tree trimming stuff and pest control and all that baloney. But on this bill, I looked at this fire hydrant charge and I'm wondering, what is that? That's a lot of money, $23.80. And for each of our 4plexes, we're being charged that fee. So I went online and I found out. And what it told me was, as you can see on page 7, it says it's all about providing adequate fire protection to cover infrastructure costs such as larger mains, hydrants, and water storage units, et cetera, you know, for our fire protection in the city. And I'm all for that. But it also says you've got 4 levels. This is right out of your 2024 rate book, by the way. So I just copied it to make it easy for everybody. It says the residential rate is $2.45 a month. But the next line down is the apartment building rate, $23.80 a month. And I thought to myself, so if I live across the street from us in one of these 3-bedroom homes or 4-bedroom homes, they're paying the residential rate of $2.45 a month. Whereas in our condominium there, in our 4plex, each of our 4plexes, we are paying the equivalent of $6.56 a month for this fire hydrant facility fee. Now, I'll tell you how I came up with that. If you divide the 2380 by 4, you actually come up with $595. But we get 2 bills every month from the Moorhead Public Service. One is for our house, potable water, and the other bill, you'll see if you, on page 10, it's the irrigation bill. And we had, up until through the middle of August last year, we had a separate invoice covering our irrigation costs. And on that bill, we're also charged a fire hydrant facility fee. So I'm adding the 245 there divided by 461 cents onto the top of the 595. I come up with $6.56. I know I'm moving fast here, but I better do this to get done. Look on page 2, if you would, please. Right on the top of that page, it says fire hydrant facility fee, and the first fee up there for $6.56 a month is what we pay per condo at Signature Condos. The next fee down is the $245 per month, is what a single-family residence in Moorhead gets charged for the same fee. And then you go down further, and I've got a $1.32 to charge there per month per unit. Well, the reason that cost is in there, just down 12th Avenue from where we're located on 34th Street, there are 6 apartment buildings. 4 of them are 20 plexes. One is an 18-plex with 2-bedroom units in each unit. And the 18-plex there with the 18 units is $1.32. That's their charge. If you break down to $23.80 a month, divide it out by 18, you go down to the 20-unit apartment building, it's $119 a month. So that's a big difference. And when you, let's see where I'm, so those numbers off to the side here, for example, off the single-family residence, it says 411. Well, that shows you that that house, that Moorhead single-family house, is $4.11 cheaper a month for this charge than we pay at Signature Condos. Next one down, the 18-unit apartment, they're $5.24 a month cheaper. So the point here I'm trying to make is, and I've talked to Travis about this, and Jake and Mark at a meeting we had in late May, and it's the only thing I brought up when I went to that meeting. I asked them about this fire hydrant facility charge, and I said, why are we having to pay so much here? This has got to be, find me another one. I don't think anybody will do this, but find me another residence in town that pays that much per unit for this fire hydrant facility charge. And I've asked them, all I'm looking for from you folks is to pay the same rate as a single-family house would in Moorhead. Well, it's a 3, 4, 5, 6-bedroom house. They all pay $245 a month. We've got small 2-bedroom condominiums, and we're paying $6.56 a month in 2024. So I just said, you know, it just doesn't sound right. But what I found out talking to Travis is that everything is dependent on what size water meter you have furnishing water to your fourplex or your unit. And it just so happens back in 1997 when Signature Condos was built, how am I doing for time? 4:42, about 7 minutes in. When Signature Condos was built, they furnished the water to each fourplex with 1 water meter. So instead of a 3/4 inch water meter, which you'll find in most condominiums, to each one of the units, that builder back then in 1997 got permitted by the city of Moorhead to put in an 1.5-inch water meter. An 1.5-inch water meter, guys, is about that big, okay? 3/4 inch is about that big. So it's not a significantly bigger water meter. If you look at your water meter listing that's in your rate book too, and I've got a picture of it here, but I'm not gonna go there. You have 9 different sizes. First one is 5/8 of an inch. You go all the way up to 8 inches. That 1.5 inch doesn't compare with the 2 or 3 or 4, 6 or 8 inch meters that your big apartment buildings, industrial complexes, commercial businesses use in this town. You know, it's adequate for the 4 units that are in each one of our condominium fourplexes. And I just said to him, you know, he said, well, the reason you're getting charged that higher price is because you have that slightly bigger water meter. So the slightly bigger water meter is causing all the problems here. It has, because we have that slightly bigger water meter, and I'll grant Travis, he's brought this up to me. We have sparred, we were sparring today about noon, he called me up. We sparred about this and discussed this and had our little debates. And I said, you know, there's nothing, read your rate brochures. I mean, the pages are there that I gave you. You probably have a better copy than that, but nowhere in that rate brochure does it, you have your 9 different water meter sizes, nowhere there does it relate or correlate a water meter size to the rate you should pay for a fire hydrant facility fee in this town. There's no correlation. They're on opposite pages, but there's no correlation between the two of them. And there should be if the Moorhead Public Service is going to say, well, you're paying for this 1.5-inch water meter, $48.20 a month, but you're getting a better deal and you could on your water because of it, but you should have, Travis has told me, you guys should have 3/4-inch water meters for each one of your units. And I said, back in '97, the city said we didn't need to do that. And the builders, I'm sure, checked with Moorhead Public Service and the city, and they are permitted to put in an 1.5-inch water meter. So all that is kind of grandfathered in. We can't go back and put 3/4-inch meters in. We could, but we'd have to tear up a lot of concrete, and it'd be a big expense to do that. So I said, the fact that we have a better water fee because we got a little bit bigger water meter, I think is irrelevant. I think what you should look at, I kept bringing, the word that kept coming to mind is flexibility from the Moorhead Public Service. I mean, you got your 4 levels of rates there. Your apartment rate, your residential rate, apartment, commercial, and industrial. And it kind of just seems, I'm talking to Travis, that you're locked into those 4 rate levels, and there's nothing we can do about it. Because we have, good old Signature Condos was built with an 1.5-inch water meter, therefore we can't get a lower rate on our fire hydrant facility fee. We're only talking here, if you look up, let me turn the next page here. Let's go to page 3. And that's where it points out what the costs are per unit and what the total fire fee yearly cost is to our association, $1,259.52. And then you can look further on down the page. If we were granted the residential rate for each of our condominium units in our fourplexes at $245 a month, we have 16 units, 4 buildings with 4 units in each of them. It comes to $470.40. So what we're talking here, if we could just get the residential rate, I'm not asking for the apartment rate here for our owners. I'm just saying, if we could just get the residential rate at $245, we could save ourselves $789 a year. And you could say, hey, $789 a year isn't much, right? That's not much. My sister said, what are you putting all this energy into this for, Paul? It doesn't make sense. $789, that's nothing. And I said, I could pay the $789. Yeah, I could. But, you know, to our association, having that extra $789, and you know next year it's going to be a little more than $789, right? Because rates go up every year. It's going to be over $800. In our bank account every year makes a difference. This association, over 10 years' time, that's $8,000. It adds up. Little amounts turn into big amounts. And I talked to, you know, you guys probably know Larry Selgevold. You know, he's on the city council. And you know, I talked to a bunch of people about this, and I said, am I crazy to be doing this? You know, fighting, spending all these hours thinking about this thing, boxing every other week with Travis, you know, verbally. You know, we're getting in good shape doing that, Travis. I told him he was getting my heart rate up today. But, you know, fighting for this, and Larry said, you've got a good case, Paul. And at that time, I talked to him right before you guys got the Christmas tree going down here that night, you know, sometime in December. He said, I gotta go down and light the Christmas tree. I'm gonna talk to the city manager about your situation, Paul, and I'm gonna advise him that he should do something about this and nip it in the bud. Take care of you. And I said, man, I appreciate that, Larry. He said, you don't think I'm crazy, huh? No, I don't. And then I went into the next day or two and talked to our accountant because we had to do our taxes. And I said, Hunter, what do you think of this? Am I crazy? And I told him the case, and I had more information because I didn't leave my stuff behind. And he said, no, I think you're right on. I said, my sister says it's an insignificant amount of money. And he says, that's not insignificant, Paul. And he gave me the same line after 10 years. That's worth $8,000. That adds up, you know? And so that's why I'm here fighting. I'm fighting for the people in our condominium association. We have people in their late 60s, 70s, 80s. I think we got 3 owners that are in their 90s. And you know what one of them said to me last year? How am I doing? We, God,
1 minute.
huh?
1 minute.
Oh, shoot, thanks. She said to me, I really appreciate what you're doing here, Paul, because what we did, we pulled out all our irrigation meters and our extra electric meters because we were using them only 4 months out of the year. And they were costing us monthly fees 12 months out of the year. We're gonna save almost $2,000 by doing that this year. And we're gonna run our water through this 1.5-inch meter. But anyway, she said to me, Paul, I really appreciate you trying to save us money because she said, I'm on a tight budget here. Money is important to me, and every little bit you can save our association helps in the long run. And so please continue to do what you're doing. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to other people who live here too. So that's the thought I'm going to leave you with since I've got probably 30 seconds to go. Just think about, it just seems to me more public service is a little inflexible, but on some of these rates, please think about, I think you can keep us at the same rate. I'm not asking for a lower rate for a water or for meter rates or any fee, but just get us down to the residential rate, like most people that live in this town, at $245 a month or whatever it's gonna be in $225. And just, it'd mean a lot to us and it would save us some money. And I don't, Travis told me there aren't very many HOAs affected by this in town. So it's not gonna be a big financial hit. $789, $800 to the Moorhead Public Service, right? That's peanuts to you guys. I know you do $50 million a year, so there's a breadcrumbs. I don't need to put you down here, but it's not much money to you, but it would mean a lot to us. And our expenses are, she's gonna pull the plug on me. I mean, our insurance went up 51% in the last 2 years. And we were running our budget in the red 2 years ago because heavy snow. You try to budget these things, it's typical of every HOA. You're just trying to get by and keep your dues as low as possible, but every dollar means something to us.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate you listening to me. I hope you'll give it some consideration and look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So this is now a commission issue, and so in order to resolve this, we're going to need some time, and we're going to need to assemble a working group to handle this issue. And so would anybody like to serve on that working group?
Yes, Chair, I would like to be a part of that group. This is Heidi Durand.
Thank you, Heidi. We can take up to 2 more.
I'll do it too.
Okay, thank you, Joel.
I'll commit to it as well.
Okay, thank you,
Baker.
Paul. Okay, so then I'll make a motion to appoint Paul Baker, Joel Paulson, and Heidi Durand as the budget working group to look into this agenda, this non-agenda item that Mr. Sarian has brought before us in working in tandem with Travis Schmidt and any other group, any other individuals that need to be involved. So that's my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by myself, seconded by Borgen, to form this budget working group. Discussion? Seeing none, Borgen,
Yes.
Baker,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Ness,
Aye.
Duran,
Yes.
Thompson, yes. Okay, great. Thank you for coming. Any other customers to be heard today? Okay. Any old business? Commissioners, any old business? I guess I'd like to go back to recognitions before we move on to old business. I'd like to recognize Jason Ness as a new commissioner and Lisa Borgen as a new city council member representing the city council on the commission. Pardon me? Oh, okay, I thought you said something. So I welcome them, and I look forward to seeing what you folks are able to accomplish in your journey ahead. So with that, I'll move on. Old business, any? No, probably not. And then reports, City Council, Commissioner Morgan.
So, as you all know, I was just appointed to the council or elected to the council and have had one meeting. And the meeting was rather brief, so I really don't have a lot to report. But next time I'll be a little bit better prepared for a report.
Thank you. Public Service Commission, anything? Okay. General Manager's report, Mr. Schmidt.
Yes, Madam Chair, I've got 3 items in the General Manager's report. One is a notice from Missouri River Energy Services on our annual generation verification test that occurred during 2024. Usually it's in the summertime, July, August timeframe. This one occurred late July. We have to do this on an annual, as an annual requirement for our reserve capacity agreement with Missouri River Energy Services. And basically it is to demonstrate that the generation that we have, which is just south of the Moorhead Youth Hockey Arena or Cullen Hockey Center, can put out the roughly 10 megawatts whenever called upon. Fortunately, even though it's been cold, we have not been able to be called upon this week, which is good. It's a valuable asset that we have in Moorhead that is controlled through Southwest Power Pool and Missouri River Energy Services when called upon, but also provides emergency backup in the instance we have a natural disaster or anything in town as well too. And this is just a verification that MRES does to prove that, because we do receive payments from MRES on an annual basis or monthly basis to have this available at all times, 24/7, 365. So just wanted to give you an update on that. We also got 2 national commendations from American Public Power Association for our restoration efforts in Kissimmee Utilities and Orlando Utilities in Florida for Hurricane Milton. Those are also attached as well too. And we did receive a notification that Red River Valley Co-op Power Association is going to have increased rates starting January 1st of this year. Their rates are going up about 6.8%, and Minnecota's rates are going up 8.5%. That is their wholesale power supplier, similar to Missouri River Energy Services and Western Area Power for Moorhead Public Service. So theirs is actually going up in April of this year. That's 8.5%. So those are the 3 items that I've got on the agenda for this evening, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I think we should accept the General Manager's report. I entertain a motion to do so.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Borgen, seconded by Durand, to accept the General Manager's report. Any further discussion or questions for Mr. Schmidt? Seeing none, Borgen,
Yes.
Baker,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Ness, Durand,
Yes.
Thompson, yes. Okay. Moving on to item number 13, approve water rate study proposal from Missouri River Energy Services.
Sure, I'll have Mark Moylan, our finance manager, come up and speak to this. We've been talking about this. We're starting the rate study a little earlier than anticipated, about 1 or 2 years, correct, Mark?
At least 1, possibly 2.
Yeah, typically we do water rate studies every 5 to 7 years, and with the closure of Anheuser-Busch malting plant recommendation from our rate consultant, which is also Missouri River Energy Services, suggested that we go through a rate study just to make sure we've got everything in line on the water rate side of things as well too. So with that, Mark, I'll let you go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Travis. Good afternoon, Commission. As Travis indicated, he pretty much outlined why we are proposing to bring this into you earlier. It's really 2 reasons. One is the loss of the large customer expected to occur in 2025. Approximately 6% of our water revenues has a significant impact on water rates. So we want to get our consultant in to take a look and make sure that the rates that we provided for 2025, which were put together rather quickly, but he did a very good job using the rate study that was completed in 2022 to set them up so we at least have something for 2025. If you'll recall, we started at a 4% rate increase projection. We received the news that they were going to close. We eventually settled on a 5.5% rate increase. based on the recommendation of the consultant after running some of the numbers. In addition, kind of related to tonight's discussion we had earlier, as part of the rate structure for 2025, we eliminated the fire protection charge due to customer confusion we've experienced over the 8 years that it was in place, the confusion and to somewhat angst that it has caused some consumers when they see that item listed on their utility bills. So as such, the study that's going to take place will make sure that that infrastructure, fire protection capacity is built into the rates through a combination of the flat monthly fees and the volume rates. So they were adjusted in 2025 to absorb the fire protection fees that were eliminated for 2025, but we're going to include that as part of the study for 2026 as part of this slate. The presentation that will be provided in October as part of our upcoming budget and rate planning. So that's the long and short of why we're doing it. Again, as Travis indicated, it's a year or two earlier than we anticipated. But again, these two factors, the primary one being the loss of a large customer, which has significant impact on water revenues, really warrants bringing it forward a year earlier than anticipated. On the plus side, we've worked with Missouri River for the 13 years that I've been here. They've been very easy to work with. In fact, today I got some requests from Tim for some information, and I've already provided that to him. And it's already underway. In essence, if we were to continue on, he needed this data as part of his long-term planning anyway. So we're in position to handle this and get it going for 2025 for the 2026 rate structure. With that, I'll open to any questions.
Questions? So this is going to be $18,000,
That is correct. It's $1,000 higher than the most recent one that was completed in 2022.
but significantly lower than the budgeted amount.
The budget amount includes other studies.
Okay.
So this is one of the studies that can be included within that. There's yet generally dollars assigned for studies. We might do something with capacity improvement. I know that's been discussed. It may continue, it may not, but we did put money in the budget for studies such as this, and if nothing else, it's in the 26 budget because that was when it originally was intended to occur. So it can be absorbed, things can be shuffled to make it fit.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Paulson?
Thanks, Mark. I'm just curious, so would this study take into account scenarios as well? I mean, I'm assuming the study would be based off of current policy, such as our cast iron main replacement program and those sorts of things and what we have budgeted for that. I'd be curious to see some level of economic analysis that would look at what would happen if we replaced more cast iron per year, and how would that impact the budget? You know, given it would potentially mitigate from water main breaks and the costs associated with those. And if we even could, I mean, maybe we can't, Travis, because we've conjoined with the city's construction program and we're kind of focused on that. So just, you know, just curiosity as far as the breadth of the scope of the study, or if it's just intended to focus on existing policy that we have at MPS.
Typically, it's based on existing policy and our 10-year long-range forecast on the budget as well, too. You know, and I know we've looked at this a couple times in the past. Can we do more water main? And, you know, 1.25 miles of water main replacement annually is basically the strategic direction or the annual goal that we try to meet. I know the last couple of years we've been above that by roughly an additional quarter mile. So a lot of the other pieces of it come down to, you know, either how can we do it with internal staff, with our crews, or do we have to hire more contractors to do it? And there's a cost expense to look at from that perspective. And based on kind of where we're at, we're kind of sitting comfortable right now to where we're able to get a lot done with our crews, but still have contractors in place to help with additional projects. You know, it's doable, we can look at it, but I think I'd probably want Jake and Mark's opinion on, you know, whether or not we have enough capacity to do more annually with our crews. It is more cost effective to do it with internal staff over contractors, but you gotta you got to be able to get all those projects done in the short construction season we have. So,
Any other questions or comments?
thoughts on it, Mark?
Yeah, what Travis indicated is correct. Yeah, Tim, when he does look at this, he also looks at other projects in addition to the water main that are on the 10-year plan if they're going to require bonding or other financing needs. He tries to incorporate that into the study as well. It's just not to figure out what the rates are. He looks at our overall financial impact, days on hand, our big commission policies relating to financial strength. And again, our goal is to make sure what we do maintains our strong bond rating.
Jake, do you have any concerns with additional water main? I'll have Jake come up. He's our water distribution manager, so.
No, I think it'd be something good to look at. I mean, each year's a little bit different. One, lead service lines, that's gonna play a factor into, water main projects as well. So, if we keep going down the route of, trying to get those lead lines out within the next 10 to 15 years, that could definitely play a factor because a lot of the lead lines are still in old water main areas. And this, if we go after those projects, there's still going to be the city street improvement projects. So I think it'd be a really good idea to take a look at it within this and see if there is a need or ability to up the water main replacement, because it very well could be with more lead service line replacements. It would just make sense to do the cast iron water main at the same time.
We'll see what kind of impact it has with engineering staff, city engineering staff as well, too.
Yeah.
Maybe good to have a conversation with them as well to see if there's more they're able to do based on budgets and stuff like that, too. So.
Yeah, because of course, we've been trying to coordinate street improvement projects so that we're not basically tearing up a majority of the road and then a street improvement project coming in a year or two after. But, I think there would be some flexibility to maybe shuffle projects around and things like that, so.
Yeah, and I understand there's a lot of variables involved in this, but I think that's the point of doing these studies, is to kind of take a look at those sorts of things and better inform the commissioners on our existing policy and if we want to change it, and having good points for making that rationale. So.
Yep.
Yeah, we can look at it internally and then talk with Tim Miller at MRES as we're going through this and see what those impacts look like.
Any questions? Commissioner Borgen?
I just have a question because I'm new and I'm trying to get a handle on this. So it sounds like we're doing this study maybe a year or two in advance because of a customer change, which is significant. So in the event in the next 5 years that we have another customer change that perhaps needs a lot more water, would we then do another study because it would be so impactful to the city?
Good
I'll
question. Good
answer
question.
that one because it's financial.
Yeah.
I would say it depends. Again, as we indicated, for 2025, knowing with very short turnaround within a week, based on the information Tim had, he was able to formulate what I feel were pretty fair and equitable changes to make the change from 4 to 5.5%. If something, as you say, would change the other way, we could look at changing it. But again, he's pretty flexible. At least having a plan that's going to be 3 or 4 years newer would probably help him to determine whether or not a full-blown study would be needed, or if we could just do something interim with just, hey, can you maybe change a couple of these variables? So it's a very good question, and yes, if something does change, it could go the other way.
I'd agree with Mark's analysis there, too. I think part of it is depends on how much water is going to come into town or how much a customer is going to need. When it comes to that large amount of growth, there's a lot of other things we're going to have to look at. Capacity from the water plant side of things, do we have to do an addition there? That could impact it, increasing rates or having to bond to do an addition on the plant as well, too. And, can it be serviced within the existing infrastructure or not? There's a lot of things we'll have to look at to see what works and what doesn't.
Any other questions?
Cost of the study?
I believe it's 18,000. It was 17,000.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, it's, yeah, the proposed study is 18,000 for 2025. The most recent one was done in 2022 at 17,000. MRES, Missouri River Energy, for those that are new, does do our rate studies. They do both our electric and water. They're very familiar with what we do as Moorhead Public Service. They've been good partners with us for many, many years. And they also do work with other utilities that do have water divisions, water services that they supply. So they're very well versed in what's happening within both the water and electric utilities. So they're a good resource to use.
We get a discount too, if I remember right. Is that correct, Mark? I don't remember.
I think on the electric one we do. They'll pay half of whatever the proposed cost was. On the water, because it is kind of standalone, they don't provide anything other than the electricity, then they charge full price for it. But again, for what the work that he does and the time he puts into it, I think it's very fair.
Any additional questions? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Borgen, seconded by Paulson, to approve the water rate study proposal from MRES. Last chance for questions, comments? Okay, Borgen,
Yes.
Baker,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Ness,
Aye.
Duran,
Yes.
Thompson, yes. Okay, no executive session tonight,
Night, Madam Chair.
and their upcoming meetings are listed, and I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Paulson, seconded by Baker to adjourn tonight's meeting. Morgan, Baker,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Ness, Duran,
Yes.
Thompson, yes. Okay, with that, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you for coming. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks for all your work, Chris.
Hey, thanks, Heidi.
We'll see you at M State.
Yeah, I'll see you around.
Where's the party at?